Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about several large storms that will be taking shape across the United States in the next really 10 days. I will be also briefly touching on tropical storm Henri. I think I was mispronouncing it yesterday. I was calling it Henry, but it's actually pronounced Henri. And it isn't a hurricane yet, but it's most likely at this point, given August 20th at 3 p.m., going to hit southern New England. Again, it's still a lot of questions about this, but yes, be prepared, start preparing. It's better to be safe than sorry. And regarding the rest of the country, a very, very active pattern, very stormy, lots of precipitation for a good portion of the United States, and many things to watch for. Now, before we get into this, if you guys are new to this channel, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I talk about the weather. I'm a weather enthusiast, a weather hobbyist. So if you enjoy that type of stuff and you've watched some of my videos, consider subscribing. Don't subscribe just because I told you so, right? Consider liking the video as well if you enjoy it, and if you have any comments, concerns, questions, leave them down below. I answer almost all, and I try reading plenty of them. I think yesterday's comments and yesterday's videos I still have to answer, but yeah, almost every day I answer them. All right, folks, let's start getting into this. So first off, let's start focusing on let's quickly go over the hurricane threat. So I'm just here making a little bit of a video, right? But for your official information about, any evacuations, any orders, any advisories, any watches, please direct yourself to the National Hurricane Center for the hurricanes, and the National Weather Service as well for your weather forecast. So notice there's Tropical Storm Henri. It is at 70 miles per hour, a very, very, very strong tropical storm at this point. It is about to become a hurricane within the next 24 hours, most likely. And if it isn't already one. And let's take a glance at this storm. So notice this is where let's click on the cones. This is where anywhere the center of the cone could track. Notice that yes, it's still possible that it could, potentially glide off New England, but at this point I would say that it's almost 95% certain it will hit land somewhere on the United States, make landfall. I do want to say that this will most likely not be a category 2, right? It won't be anything above that. It's hard to tell whether or not it will be a hurricane even at landfall. While yes, it will be strengthening, the thing is that there's a little bit of cusp of cool water right here, and that's how the ocean current is. There's very warm water up until around this area right here where my mouse is. And anything past, it's very cool. I mean, it's a drastic cutoff. It's temperatures, in the ocean waters in the 80s and 90s here, up until here it starts getting to the 70s and 60s. So, if it's a category, say, 2 here, then it probably will be category 1 by the time it reaches. But if it's barely a hurricane at around 8 p.m. Saturday, which it will be at its peak here, then it may struggle to reach the land as a hurricane, or most likely a strong tropical storm. But regardless, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Again, even if it is a strong tropical storm, the impacts remain rather similar if it's even, just a 10-mile-per-hour difference. Strong winds, a bit of storm surge, and the main threat with this thing isn't really the storm surge or the winds. Obviously, those are a concern, but the flooding. Notice, these are 12-hour increments from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 8 a.m. And notice how these circles start really slowing down in terms of distance, but it's still 12 hours. This thing is going to be, obviously have very heavy rain, as all tropical systems do, and it's going to be taking its sweet little time over these areas. Now, these areas aren't particularly dry. They are, one would argue, rather wet with all the rain they've been getting. So once it's kind of stalls out, it could definitely cause some flooding, and that definitely is a concern. Freshwater flooding inland, and of course there could be some sea surge, storm surge from the salt water, obviously from the ocean. Again, mainly 3 to 4 feet, maybe 5 in some areas. But again, if for example, the hurricane or tropical storm ventures towards New York City, the center of it, then it could be a bit stronger. as it has less time over the cooler waters, it may, reach a bit stronger the coast as a stronger hurricane. Now, if it reaches Cape Cod and barely skims it, then it will be a bit of a weaker system, as it will be over the cooler waters for a longer period of time, which the cooler waters, just for your information, start right around here. Anything south, it's a drastic change. It's very warm, and here it's very cool, so it will be on its weakening phase. Now, if you recall, Hurricane Sandy that last time hit the Northeast, the last major storm, this part of the world, it was barely a tropical storm by the time it reached, it was a tropical storm when it reached. It wasn't even a hurricane, right, by the time it reached the New England coast. But that storm was just so much bigger. It was a super storm. It was a perfect storm. There was a full moon. The tides were not really high, right, and obviously the capability of a large storm is much bigger than a small storm. So it won't be as bad as Sandy, even though it may be stronger in terms of wind. But definitely that's not a reason to not stay prepared, right? And again, watches, hurricanes, tropical storm watches have been issued for New York City as well. So yes, please, folks, this is definitely a interesting situation, to say the least. Many of these areas haven't experienced, again, a tropical storm in over a decade. So it definitely something that is going to cause some problems, some issues. Hopefully, though, we will, be able to stay prepared for this. And U.S. rainfall, again, I did mention this is the highest threat. Hartford right there into Connecticut, Albany, large cities potentially in the 4 to 6 inch range, and many locations potentially even a 6 to 10 inch range. So again, the National Hurricane Center is estimating that this storm, obviously based off its rain track, will be somewhere in Long Island and Connecticut. That's where it will be making its impacts, the center. But again, if it goes towards New York City, obviously much more greater rainfall for this area and a stronger system. If it goes over here, a weaker system and much more heavier rain for these areas. So really, there's still a lot of details to be kind of pinned down. Again, this is the most likely scenario, and you can see the flash flooding potential is at a moderate. I would not be surprised if it goes up to a high, because this is still 3 days out. So there could definitely be a high somewhere in this area, which again isn't really usual whatsoever. So again, that's what I wanted to mention. Peak surge, again, 3 to 5, especially wherever it does make landfall. I mean, that may not seem like a lot, but just picture the sea level rising 5 feet. Some areas stretch for hundreds of feet in terms of a distance, and they only rise maybe 1 to 2 feet in elevation. So 3 to 5 feet seems more than it actually is. And it's not terrible storm surge, but it's storm surge nonetheless, which is argued to be the most dangerous part of hurricanes. Okay, so I do apologize. I did spend a bit more time than I'd like on that, but there's a lot to cover. And notice, this is the GFS model. This is what it shows. A very, very common scenario, right? Moving north into Long Island and into Connecticut, and boom, right there through southeastern New England, slamming those folks at around late Saturday, early Sunday. Notice, by Sunday, it will be on land, most likely. And I do want to mention, look at the middle bars. 977, right? 973 strengthening, but it doesn't even make landfall, and it goes to 979. So it does start weakening before it hits because of those cool waters. And you can see it quickly. I mean, within a few hours, it is pretty much a dead storm. 1,006 millibars. And it's not even a low pressure at that point. So an interesting situation, to say the least. But as it pushes forward, notice we do have that large system across North Dakota taking shape right now. That is definitely, I saw on the radar, causing some, quite a bit of rain and some storm. It's definitely something they needed across the Dakotas. It's been super, super, super dry and hot there. Notice this cold front explodes across today Minnesota, Iowa, but it doesn't really reach into Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan. It kind of weakens. And the bulk of this energy moves up to the north. Now, ignoring this system, as I've been talking about it already, we do see another storm moving into the northwest on Sunday. It actually moves in onto the northwest really tomorrow, today, Friday, but it starts moving onto the plains around Sunday and Monday. So yes, I mean, just a few hours of break in some areas, maybe one day, across North Dakota, Minnesota, before more rain comes through. Southern Canada as well, more rain. And notice that's, again, not much into Iowa, Illinois with this front either, but definitely another system that is moving through, right? And I just want to show you quickly what comes after that. I mean, literally a day afterwards, we see another system further into Wisconsin, Illinois, maybe some showers, Iowa, right? Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana. and across the Canadian-U.S. border, a broad area of showers and storms, which then moves towards the northeast. And this is where the pattern starts kicking itself into the high gear. Look at it. This is Thursday. Widespread rain from the Dakotas into Illinois, into the southeast and northeast. This drags on, kind of really starts reforming across very similar areas, starts training. And notice there is a cold front, moves into southern Canada with quite some vigor, some cool air, but shortly right after we do see another storm move in, really more of a cold front, and a storm would be further up to the north. But notice all this precip across the southwest. That is a lot. It's streaming from the tropics, and that's, well, doesn't go anywhere. It does move into the Midwest, into the central part of the country, and of course the tropics will be just supplying the atmosphere with tons of moisture. Whether or not more storms come, which the GFS does show a system at around this time frame, which is very far out and probably nothing to worry about. Regardless, a lot of this moisture right here is from the tropics, and it streams into the U.S. So let me take a look, or let me show you the total accumulated precip the next 384 hours. Yeah, notice portions of the south will actually not be seeing too much of it, but notice the Midwest, the plains, the Northeast, tons of rain, especially obviously where that tropical storm, Hurricane Henri lands, there will be a rain. But notice the Outer Banks, 6-7 inches, Iowa potentially right there, the GFS favors with heavy rain, New Mexico, Arizona, the northern plains. Again, this doesn't show South Dakota seeing much, but there's model differences. Some show much more, some show much less. Notice the eastern coast of Mexico seeing a ton, but also the western coast, and yeah, that is approaching 20 inches potentially. And in terms of centimeters, I think that's 20 to almost close to 55 centimeters of rain. So yeah, that would be a ridiculous amount. Not really something you'd like to see. Too much, right? Too much of a good thing, if you will. So yeah, a lot of activity, a lot of rain. I just want to show you the long range according to the Canadian. Doesn't go as far. It's only 240, so you can see keeps it dry across the south as it's beyond this really time frame where the activity starts showing on the GFS, so that makes sense. Notice again the southeast, northeast, obviously with that tropical storm and the tropics acting up, quite a bit of rain. But look at the northern plains. Minnesota, North Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota. Decent rains for sure. I don't like this model too much in terms of its precip outlook. It jumps around quite a bit every single day, but it's been rather consistent, showing that rain across the northern plains. Again, don't pay attention to details. If I were just to give you my best shot, I would say anywhere in this kind of line I'm drawing, expect heavy rains. And yes, even into Michigan. This model keeps it dry, but as you saw, the GFS showed quite a bit more at 240 hours out. So again, there are some differences. Let's take a glance at the European quickly. I want to show you what this model thinks of the future and what it thinks of these storm systems. I will go into more detail about this storm in just a second in the high-res models. But look, there's Henri. There's that system, strong cold front. It does start weakening, though, as it pushes into the Great Lakes. And look, there's Henri landfalling into New York, potentially Connecticut area. More of the Connecticut, probably reaching Long Island, though, first. So New York, I guess. And notice that, again, it does quickly weaken into a very measly low pressure as soon as it reaches the land. And then notice that British Columbia writes Saskatchewan, Manitoba, decent amounts of rain from that system that the European actually advertises to be a bit stronger. Again, it moves into southern Canada on weekends. Then right after that, we see another system into Tuesday, Wednesday, across the plains. Notice bringing some showers into Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Indiana, a bit further towards the south. We do see a bit of a break, and then Thursday, look, more showers, a bit further towards the south, maybe than where the action is going on today, but still, more rain. And notice that again, we just see system after shortwave after system just bringing rain, and yeah, it doesn't seem to be going away whatsoever. And yeah, definitely a stretched out area of precipitation across the central United States. There will be, again, quite a bit of activity starting to show towards the southwest in the medium to long range area. But yeah, look at the European. It's favoring the same thing the GFS and Canadian were showing. And again, look at that. It shows quite a bit for Nebraska, 3, 4, 5, even in some areas up to 6 inches of rain. Obviously, the European does show ridiculous amounts where that tropical storm Henri lands. Hopefully, we don't see 14 inches anywhere. But I would be dumb to argue that that's not possible. I think it's definitely possible. Some of these locations could end up well above double digits, especially since I meant to say, this could be especially dangerous since a lot of these locations have already seen a lot of rain and are already, at their brinks of their rivers and whatnot. So this is not really going to be helpful. But yeah, the southeast, quite a bit of rain according to the European. Notice that the southwest, according to this model, stays dry up until a 240-hour timeline. But again, if we were to extend this out to 384 hours, which we can't, but if we were to, I guarantee you that the activity would start showing itself a bit more intensely, and yeah, I think there would be some precipitation and rain to look for in the medium to almost the very long range outlook, right? Into the short to medium, which is the 240 hours, a lot across the plains, the southeast, obviously Henri, the Great Lakes, seeing some rain, not necessarily the southwest. And I do want to say that the southwestern Canada area, quite a bit of rain, and that's good. They need that relief from that heat. But notice that the northwest, the west coast of the United States, not seeing much, which is a bit unfortunate to say the least. Let's take a glance at the HER model. So this is a high-res, very resilient model. I would say pretty accurate. I like it quite a bit, and let me show you this. And this goes out only to 48 hours, but it's every single hour it goes into a 1 hour interval, unlike the other models which go every 6 to 12 hours, depending on which model. Notice right across the North Dakota, we see that system today. I know this is where I kind of want to time it out a bit more. I was just showing you the long-range pattern, what to expect. Again, for extreme, details, go to your local National Weather Service. Usually what these models show and represent the National Weather Service shows, as well as, this is what they base many of their forecasts off of, but they're even more refined than what I could say because they have tons of data from weather balloons and whatnot. And notice that into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 today, right? North Dakota, Minnesota, seeing lots of precipitation. Notice some severe weather potentially for Omaha, right? Nebraska, look at that line right there, into Iowa. This is 8 p.m. today, so not that far away. Southern Canada starts seeing some decent amounts of rain into Minnesota. Again, those showers, storms. This is 11 p.m. now. This is 12, 1, 2, 3. Notice Kansas, Missouri, potentially southern Iowa, seeing some decent rains. Into Tennessee, we see a cluster of storms developing. Definitely concern for flash flooding. Look at what that storm right there does, that line. It just kind of sits vertically for many hours, so that's definitely a concern. And then notice that after tomorrow, really, that cold front's gone. That system just whips out into Canada and is disappearing. And then obviously we have Henri there catching the attention along the East Coast, producing showers and storms. But, it does, you could see, kind of pivot its way into Jersey, into potentially Long Island, Connecticut. Again, the HER model throws it right at New York City. Most models do it a bit further towards the east, into Long Island and Connecticut, rather than Jersey Shore and into the New York City actual, the metropolitan area. But regardless, you can see it shows a lot of rain and a lot of potential for flooding with that, and it only goes out to 48 hours. But look across the northwest. This is tomorrow at 7, 8, right? Notice Wyoming, more rain. Minnesota, more rain. Some snow across Yellowstone, and into this pushes out by early Sunday into the Dakotas, mainly eastern Montana and North Dakota. South Dakota seeing a bit less, but definitely some rain. And you can see this isn't going to be a severe weather type. This is going to be light to moderate rain, definitely something they need. And by this is what it looks like by Sunday 1 p.m. Again, at this point, it's settling off and sailing into Canada, this system, but obviously we do have quite a bit of rain till that time frame. Notice we have 2, 3, 4 inches of rain across northern North Dakota, potentially to that time. Again, that's including today's and tomorrow's system. Obviously, wherever that heavy rain does occur or those storms, notice, pockets of 3 to 4 possibly in Iowa and especially across Tennessee today into the southeast. That could be something to watch for. And obviously, we're honoring lands. Quite a bit of rainfall, definitely a concern. This is the NAM 3KM model. Notice it only goes out to 33 hours. Let's go back to its 60-hour run. And yeah, you can see it shows quite a bit of rain where that system occurs. It shows some double-digit amounts there, and it does show decent rains across the northern plains as well. Again, only going out to 60 hours. This is the NAM 12KM. Let's go back to its 12 o'clock run. It doesn't show much rain for the northeast with this system. Again, this is why I don't think it has the best handle for the storm, but it does show quite a bit right there across the northern plains. So a few large storms. Again, I guess that's including Tropical Storm Henri. And to stay safe, again, if you live across the northern plains, expect a rainy pattern. Definitely quieting down into the medium to long range, more active in the next 5 to 10 days, really. But if you were to take a look across the southeast, for example, it will be active as well in the next 5 to 10 days. The northeast, obviously, watch for Tropical Storm Henri and Hurricane Henri. And in the south, southwest, drier for now, though there could be some activity, especially as you get towards the medium and into the long range. The west coast, really unfortunate, just rather warm and dry. No good news for you in terms of that drought relief. And the northwest, maybe some, especially towards extreme northern Washington and Idaho. But, yeah, not looking brilliant for you either. And my folks across southern Canada, again, a lot of rain for you. Many areas seeing decent amounts of rain. Southeast Canada, not that much, maybe a few inches across Toronto, but as you get towards the north, more likely drying out. But again, like all that could change if just a single thunderstorm passes by, a single little bow. So, yeah, definitely something to watch for. Definitely something we'll have to keep an eye on for. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya.